I'm here with Mr. David HAHN, who is the Assistant Professor of Music here at Liberty University and also a minister since 1980.
I'm an assistant professor in the new School of Music, Liberty University School of Music, and I teach technology within the music industry track. I also teach songwriting and voice.
What are some personal observations that you've noticed in America, or maybe even locally more so, or maybe like when you guys are living back in Tennessee, of Christianity in the schools?
I think the issue with Christianity in the schools, and I've seen a weakening in my lifetime. I was born in 1956. And in schools, I remember that we could openly talk about God. We could pray in classes. In fact, I had teachers who would lead us in prayer at the beginning of some classes, not all. But I think that the difficulty is, how do you establish a sense of morality and citizenship? What do you base that on? And I think when we have a slippage regarding the Judeo-Christian heritage, then where do you post up, where do you take your standards for morality? And just from our side, we would call it righteousness. Where's your basis for righteousness? As Christians, we have a solid base. The scriptures are filled with directives for us and really point the way to how to live. Christ is our supreme example in how to live and also to how to project out a future for ourselves rather than a destructive lifestyle that has bad consequences. I think the issue most often in the schools is that we are pointing our students to establish some kind of lifestyle, but the difficulty is, if you don't have Christ at the center, where's the meaning for your lifestyle? It becomes, I believe, without Christ, the meaning is self-possessed. It's whatever I can get during our lives. Most often pleasure bent or success. Pleasure being any number of things, from sex to drugs to food. And it's like a friend of mine used to say, a pastor, he used to say, if you're not a Christian, then this is as close to heaven as you get. But if you are a Christian, then this is the worst it can be. But if you could picture with a life without Christ, there's this constant clamoring after everything that I can get, every toy, every game, every gadget, and a lifestyle that's very, very pleasing. And when things go wrong, I've got to change it. I've got to jettison, whoever it is that doesn't please me. And it's all about me.
So, from a legal standpoint, or I guess this whole issue, do you think that will happen in the White House or in the churches?
I think you can government. I don't think you can pass laws. I think it does need to be a church-centered piece, but I think that our government's going to have to open the door. I think it needs to be a both and. It can't be, well, we'll just give that over to the church and then the government can just run on in some kind of secularized situation. I think that's a sad thing that atheists have tried to promote. The truest sense of it, I believe, is we are no longer a religious society, but we do base on philosophies, and it's not a sense of you can't have a philosophy. The sense is, what philosophy are you adopting? If it's a godless philosophy, like many people have adopted, whether they're Christians or not, or calling themselves Christians, I should say, then that's what we're getting right now. And what is the moral base for that? Then it's a decision made by man. It's made by man with their best interests in mind, what they think culture needs. But we're bad at this, I believe. We've done this very poorly. If you need any kind of historical structure, just go back a century and look at what happened in Germany as a result of leaving God behind in a godless sense. On the other hand, I believe that the church has to speak, whether the government allows or not. The church needs to speak in this culture. We can't force people to accept Christ, but we can say we need to have a basis for morality. And to me, the most solid basis for morality is in Christ.